Ozymandias by P.B. Shelley. Now the poem is all about a great and mighty king. Now in this poem, P.B. Shelley tells us that once he meets a traveler from the ancient land of Egypt. Now that traveler, once he was just roaming about, during that he sees a large statue which was almost crumbled down. The traveler further told the poet that he saw two huge and massive legs that were the only remaining part of once grand statue. The upper part or trunk of that stone statue was missing as it was lying crumbled in the sand nearby. Now the place about which the traveler is talking is a sandy desert and half covered and sunken in the sand is a face of stone statue. The traveler further expresses or the traveler further tells the poet and describes him the expressions that remained or that were reflected on the stone statue. Now the whole theme and the whole idea for writing the poem is just to make us aware or just to tell the readers that nothing is perennial, nothing is permanent, nothing lasts forever, especially if you do something wrong. Only the good deeds of a man will pass the test of time. Apart from that, however money you have, whatever property you have, whatever domination you have, people just forget that individual after his or her death. But the goodness of man outshines everything and lasts forever. Over here, the poet tells us about a great king by the name of Ozymandias. He was a great ruler, he was a great conqueror. The king was proud of his abilities. The king was proud of the things which he had done in his lifetime. He openly used to proclaim this thing and openly used to challenge other powerful and affluent people and used to feel very proud that he was greatest among all. When he was alive, people used to respect him due to fear. In his pride, he asked the sculptors to build huge stone statues of his so that after his death he might be remembered for a long time by people. But unfortunately, the reverse of that happened. After his death, since he was a sort of a cruel king, he never used to love his subject. People were scared of him, people were afraid of him. Soon he was forgotten. And now many years have rolled by and his condition, the condition of the statue is very pitiable, and those conditions actually has been described in the poem. So let us cover the poem in detail. The poet says, I met a traveler from an antique land who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Now the poet tells us that he met a traveler. I has been used for the poet. So the poet says he meets a traveler and the traveler actually has gone to the antique land. Antique land is a country called Egypt. So he is giving us the reference of the country Egypt, and then he says the traveler had gone to a country Egypt, and in the country Egypt he saw something, and he gave the description of that thing. So who said? That means the traveler said. And what he said? Too vast. Vast means big or huge. So he saw two big and trunkless legs, trunkless without the upper part of the body. So he sees a statue. The statue was quite huge, quite big, but it was without the upper part, or it was trunkless. Only the legs of stone stands in the desert. So we can say, suppose this is a desert. There was a pedestal, and on that these are the legs. So the poet just saw the legs. The upper part was missing. The face and the other parts, the other limbs, the hands, they were missing. Only the legs could be perceived by the traveler. Half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown tell that its sculpture well those passions read. Now the poet says that he met a traveler, and the traveler gave him a description of the thing which he saw, and through him the poet says कि near them on the sand, see over here, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, we can put those missing words over here. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage. That means in the desert, sand over here is desert. So in the desert, what the traveler said, he saw half sunk, a shattered visage lies. Visage is face. So in the desert, he saw two legs standing, but the face, the visage, it was lying shattered in the sand. Whose frown? Frown is anger. Tell that its sculpture well those passions read. Now the statue is thousands of years old. The time has rolled by, but the expressions on the face of that statue is still visible. That tells the greatness of the sculpture. It speaks volumes about the art and craft of the sculpture, because the sculpture very well read the emotions, read the passions on the face of the great and mighty King Ozymandias. When the great king ordered him to have his statue made, at that time the sculpture very well read the frown, the anger on the face of the king, and he very well executed, he very well put those emotions into the form of this great masterpiece. But it is a sad thing that that great masterpiece is now almost lying in a crumbled position somewhere in the desert. But the greatness of the sculpture cannot be taken away here, as the expressions are still quite visible. Now the poet further adds, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. Now the poet further adds, which yet survive. Yet survive means after the passing of many years. So even after thousands of years, they are stamped on the lifeless things. Stamped means visible. So the emotions are still visible on the face of that statue. So those emotions actually has survived. Apart from that, the things which have survived is the hand that mocked them. Now over here, the hand that mocked them has been used for the hands of the sculpture. This shows the sculptor used his great art and craft to mock at the great king, because he very well read the emotions and put the emotions in the form of the statue. And the heart that fed, that means whatever emotions, whatever things the sculptor saw, he put those things, he had those things by heart, and he very well executed and put it in the form of this great masterpiece of his great sculpture.